Chapter 25. Alice. Dashing around the city with James felt like a vacation to me. I left my world behind, allowing Marcy to take over shipping magic. She checked in with me every day, letting me know how things were going, but aside from a single conversation, I was totally focused on getting this massive party together for James's client. We drove to the hotel at 3 o'clock on New Year's Eve. Walking to the conference room, I watched in awe as James made some last-minute adjustments. The chairs were spread out around a number of circular tables, each one a private oasis for a cozy group of friends. At the head of the room was a stage where the live band that James had managed to book would be playing. There was a dance floor below the stage, something much more expansive than the one he'd managed to install in my office. There was enough room for a group of people to do the electric slide, although James assured me that wasn't likely to happen. The caterers were scheduled to arrive at 6 so that dinner could begin at 8. The band wasn't going to be there to set up until 9, with music to last until 2 in the morning. I wished we could have spent a little bit of time on our own celebration. It didn't seem like we would have a lot going on besides maybe a bottle of wine and the television. I would have loved to dance the night away in the company of good friends. It seemed a shame to put so much energy into someone else's good time without bothering to think about my own. James paused to talk to the concierge. "The place looks spectacular," he said. "We aim to please," the man replied. "Will you take Miss Myers up to the front to get her key?" James looked at me and winked. "What key?" I asked. "Since we did so much work on this event, I thought it would be fun to spend the night at the hotel," James answered. I couldn't contain my excitement. Throwing my arms around his neck, I gave him a squeal of pleasure, peppering kisses down his neck. I tried unsuccessfully to regain my composure. It looked like he had thought of everything. We weren't going to spend a sad night alone in his apartment. Instead, we would be out on the town in one of the best hotels around. We could sip champagne and make love under expensive sheets, all while running up a room service tab. I followed the concierge to the front desk and gratefully accepted a key card. Hurrying up to our room, I was delighted that James had gone for the most expensive suite. There was a living area and a mini kitchen with a refrigerator and a dining nook. It was everything a young couple needed for a private getaway. It seemed luxurious to pay for a room in the same town we both lived, and the excitement factor only doubled when I discovered a giant present waiting for me. It was on the bed, wrapped in a yellow bow. I tore into the package, pulling the top off a department store's white cardboard clothing box. Inside was a beautiful gown. I removed it from the tissue paper, holding it up to my chest. It was nearly strapless, with 2 simple silk ribbons to drape over my shoulders. The bodice was stiff enough to cradle my breast, so there was no need for a bra. Sequins raced down the front of the dress, extravagant enough to ring in the new year. I almost missed a note that came with it. Opening the envelope, I sighed happily as I read the instructions. "This is for the party you helped arrange," James wrote. "Happy New Year." I couldn't believe it. All the hard work we had done over the past week wasn't for someone else. James and I would be attending that very soiree, and we could enjoy all the choices we'd made, from the menu to the live band. I slipped the dress over my head, working the zipper up in the back. It took a bit of wiggling, but when I stepped up to the mirror to admire myself, it was stunning. I looked like a princess from a movie, like Cinderella going to the prince's ball. I took the dress off so that I could do my hair and makeup without endangering it, then zipped it back up when I was finished. The effect was astonishing. I had to hide a smile, hoping I didn't upstage the client. They wouldn't be shocked to learn that I had a hand in almost every aspect of the evening's festivities. Hopefully, they would be impressed. I grabbed my key card and walked to the elevator, ready to spend the night dancing away in the arms of my lover. James met me in the lobby. He wore a tuxedo, something fancier than anything I'd ever seen him wearing before. "How did you—" I trailed off, admiring the way the tailored fabric highlighted his chest. He looked like a rock star or a billionaire businessman, about to take me out on his yacht. I knew this evening was expensive for him, but I had no idea that he was the sole financier. "I changed in the men's room," he answered one of my questions. "How did you know I was ready?" I asked. "Lucky guess," he replied, holding out his hand. "Shall we?" I walked into the ballroom to find the place packed with shipping magic employees, My mom and my dad were there, dressed in their Sunday best. Marcy and her family, Chuck and Todd, and all the dozens of people who had just weathered an entire month of special events with us were all in attendance. I gasped, turning to James for an explanation. "I'm the client," he said. "This party is for you and me." I didn't know how to react. So many emotions were at war in my chest. I was overwhelmed with love and felt humbled that all my employees would come out to celebrate me. James ushered me to a table with my family, and we sat down to dinner. I opted for the fish, and the caterers brought it out on sparkling china plates. We dined and chatted, and through it all, I maintained a healthy blush. I couldn't believe everyone was there, enjoying themselves and having a good time. "Were you all in on this?" I asked Mom, leaning forward to get her honest response. "James invited us the day after Christmas," Mom admitted. "And you didn't tell me?" I threw my napkin at her. She caught it with a laugh. "It was too much fun to keep secret." James ushered me onto the dance floor when the band arrived, and we worked up a sweat like no one was watching. When the clock struck midnight, everyone was on their feet. James arranged for balloons to fall, and I knew what was coming. When the countdown ended and the ceiling remained intact, I looked at him in dismay. "What happened to the balloons?" James didn't answer. In the middle of the dance floor, he took me by the hand. Dropping down onto one knee, he pulled out a small velvet box. People around us clapped, as I suspected they might have already known what he planned to do. "Alice Myers, will you make me the happiest man in the world and marry me again?" James gazed up into my eyes with all the dedication of a husband and a father. We could have been alone in the ballroom for all I cared. Even though the room was packed with people I knew and loved, the only one that mattered was him. "Yes," I exhaled deeply. That's when the balloons rained down. The end. This has been Christmas Countdown Advent Calendar, written by Lexy Timms, narrated by Kathleen Starr Hall.